Google. Let's go get them again.
What's going on, fragrance family? Welcome to another episode of Samplin Samples Sundays. Every Sunday we are sampling. This series is where I wear a scent as much as the little sample lets me. It is my scent of the day today, and I'm going to give you as much detail as I can and give you my final thoughts on this particular fragrance. Today's sample is on the brand of DS and Durga and their grapefruit based scent called Grapefruit Generation. There's not much on the tube about this one, so for good reason. Probably a boring little grapefruit scent, right? Not so fast. Let's delve into this one. Let's go under the hood. Let's take a look at some stats. Release date was back in 2021. Concentrations eau de parfum. The nose behind this is David Seth malts. Now the major notes to my nose are pomelo, musk, and tuberose. Now it's time to empty out this little Lucky Scent vial. It is, of course, my scent of the day today. There's not much left in it. Just to finalize this and remind me of this introduction. And the introduction to Grapefruit Generation, what hits me immediately with this release, and this is quite unique, is that it's right up there with the most photorealistic grapefruit scents on the market. Right up there with some of my favorites that, if you've been a subscriber of mine for years, you know that I'm a huge fan of things like Pomelo Paradis by Atelier Cologne, and of course the king of grapefruit, Pampelune. There's a huge separation from a lot of grapefruits and this, just a small stack of great photorealistic grapefruit. And what they do is they show the peel, they give you that sour smell. So you only need one of these in your collection, to be quite honest. Pampelune would be the one I would recommend from Guerlain. But I'm a little weird on that side. I like to search out these scents, collect them, and see which ones are the best in the game. What sets these apart from the rest of the pretenders is you get that sourness, you get the juice, you get the peel, and not too many grapefruit scents do that. A lot of designer grapefruits, you know, they have grapefruit up top. That's not a grapefruit, by the way. So honestly, when I heard Mr. Maltz was going to do a grapefruit scent, I might have been the only person on the planet here excited to sniff this thing. I really wanted to see what he was going to do with this particular note. What it is, it's very thin, it's watery, it's uplifting, but also has some depth in the note, which you hardly see in a lot of releases. What I enjoyed about this one is you do get the layers of the grapefruit, from the peel to the skin to the fruit all the way down. You get that sourness. You really do get that 3D imagery of the pomelo / the grapefruit. Now you do get just the grapefruit to start, so it gives that particular note the shine it deserves, because it's a really good note. And then it starts giving me some green aspects, almost a leafy type of green. There's some white musks backing it, so already I'm starting to feel like there's not going to be much of a backbone in this release. With a lot of these just grapefruit based scents, you're not going to get much. And then of course there's some floral layers that we are going to be talking about a little later in this review. Now, front to this release, again, like I said, there's not much to it. You don't want much to it. That grapefruit note is so beautiful that you don't want anything else really playing around with it, and it's just letting it go, which is something that I love in some of my favorites of the grapefruit genre, is just let that note shine. You don't need much more than that, but of course you kind of do, because then you start going into the Bath and Body Works grapefruit type scents. You don't want that. So once it gets into the dry down, and we've seen, you know, a little bit of the greenness, the florals and the musk coming through in here, what's great about this scent against many grapefruit scents is the main idea, which is grapefruit doesn't go away. Now grapefruit, very, very light as a note, will burn off in a lot of scents. In most scents it dissipates. But in here, for some reason, it continues to be the primary note. Now, it's not as vivid as what it was in the introduction, we'll say, but it's still there. And that is something that you have to appreciate in a scent that you have the name grapefruit in it. You want to smell it throughout. Now again, not as vivid. Now the floral aspects, mostly tuberose that I'm getting out of this release, gives its familiar green touch. The mild, and I mean mild, and I'm emphasizing that, mild woody aspect here. The note breakdown says a cork note. We'll play with it. That's interesting. I don't really get a cork-like feel, but I do get a mild woody aspect. But the woodiness is way too faint to really discern what it is. Cork is a good imagery, and we'll go with it, of course. Yeah, this woody aspect continues throughout until the fragrance dies. Now, the tuberose is definitely second in command in this release here, and the hawthorn note, which is now third in command, as the scent morphs a little more floral, gives me clean white floral quality here. There's a little earthy note here that comes into play later in the scent that meshes well with the backbone of the woods. So those two, the woods and the earthy quality, are the one I'm kind of grasping with the grapefruit. I'm kind of trying to stay away a little bit from the florals here, but at the end of the day, it's a very solid grapefruit scent. The grapefruit in the introduction, star of the show, goes against some of the best in the game. You need to smell at least one super realistic grapefruit in your journey, and if you are, trying to get samples of it, this would be on my short list of those type of scents. Many designer and niche scents actually really butcher the note that has no real bite, no sourness, no peel, no nothing. This would be one to sample in the niche realm. Now again, Pamplemousse is still king. I don't think this has dethroned it. Again, it's just a sample. I have so much more experience with Pamplemousse, but I feel it's in that general area of Pamplemousse, Pomelo Paradis by Atelier Cologne. So very good company for grapefruit generation. Now let's get into Seasons, Day Night versatility and performance. Seasons, of course, a grapefruit scent. You would assume it will shine in the summer. It is summer mostly as a fragrance. Also, I would say spring. The florals and the grapefruit together really work well in the spring and early fall. Day or night, I feel like this is more of a daytime scent. Can be a signature for someone if they wish to do so. Casually dress it up during the day, especially in these hot, you're wearing a suit and you want just a fresh scent. This is the one to go with. Versatility above average. There's nothing here that screams, stop, don't wear me now. Versatility is through the roof. Performance, longevity was actually quite good for a grapefruit type scent. These things, of course, as I said earlier, grapefruit type scents don't have much backbone to them, especially if they're just trying to give you that imagery of grapefruit. They're not gonna last. This one gives you 6 to 9 hours on this little sample, which is very decent. However, there's low projection on this one. So within the first couple hours, this thing starts dialing back to more of a skin scent. So don't expect much performance as far as projection goes, but it will stay on your skin for a good portion of the day. At the end of the day, grapefruit generation is a, dare I say, a great grapefruit scent. Very much one-dimensional. This is what I came to expect from the release. It isn't the most interesting of the brand. I could definitely tell you at least 5 or 6 that are more interesting, but I'm sure, like me, all of you are gonna come out and kind of expect that. This is not something that is going to be super daring. It's a grapefruit scent. I was impressed on how long the grapefruit portion of the scent lasted. That is very important. It's something that a lot of grapefruit type scents lack. So that is a big plus for this one. The longevity of the scent as a whole is again another plus, just because most grapefruit scents don't last. Is it sample worthy? 100%. It's close to being bottle worthy for me, and it depends on your journey and your taste, because it's going for the crown for the best grapefruit scent on the market. But then you're looking at money versus scent. I feel like Pamplemousse still has it beat by Guerlain. I don't think anything can beat that release. Honestly, I really love that one. But still a good one from a brand that I absolutely love to discover. Now I'm more into the fresh scents from the brand. I like, I delved into some of the darker stuff earlier on in my journey with DS and Durga. But now with, of course, Radio Bombay, We got Debasser. We got this one now. These are all solid scents from the brand. This is starting to be a brand that you just have to sample at least once they start getting out new releases, because they are very solid. At the end of the day, this is bottle worthy. It's really at the cusp of being bottle worthy for me. Again, I have some that do this, Pomelo Paradis, Pampelune, but once it's in top 5 of that genre, and I feel like this one is around that area, kind of have to pull the trigger. So if I had to give it a score currently out of 10, and again, it's at that cusp, I think bottle worthy would have to be a high 7 or low 8 for me. Anything lower than that, probably not. As far as sampling samples, this is right at that cusp. It's in a high 8. I just really like what they did with the grapefruit, and there's a lot of things like the grapefruit being extended for the length of the fragrance almost the whole way was very interesting, and the longevity of the fragrance itself, just because how thin it is. Well done. I like the hawthorn, I like the tuberose, the earthy quality, and that little woody aspect too. But the star of the show is definitely the grapefruit. So 8 bottles out of 10 for me. Bottle worthy, just there. Now that you heard my take, I'd love to see yours in the comments below. Please share. I don't think there's much on the tube on this release, and I could see why. It's a grapefruit scent. It's a little expensive, so I can see why, but I'd love to see comments, either worth it, not worth it. You know me, send them through. Let's take a look at different comments on the release. And as always, a great pour fragrance will make a lasting impression. Choose your grapefruit scent wisely. Thanks for watching, YouTube. Have a good one.